RetroDaze.
When we were younger, commercials seemed like the bane of our existence. At worst, they were an annoying interruption during our otherwise enjoyable entertainment experience. And at best, they provided a convenient 2-minute window for us to sprint to the bathroom without missing anything. Now, over time, as we've grown older, a strange thing has happened. Many of us have become nostalgic for those same commercials we used to hate. Evidence of our collective yearning can be found strewn across the digital expanse of YouTube, on VHS mixtapes, uploaded to the Internet Archive, and even sold on Facebook and eBay in the form of taped-off television VHS tapes.
For anyone looking to recreate the experience of watching television in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, a solid collection of era-appropriate commercials is imperative, and none so much as the pervasive public service announcement. And now, a word from our sponsors. Haha, I was just kidding. We don't have any sponsors. On June 25th, 1942, an organization called the Ad Council was incorporated, then immediately renamed the War Advertising Council due to the United States entering World War II. One of the premier goals at the time was to mobilize the entirety of the advertising industry, consisting of radio broadcasters and advertising agencies, to help with the war effort. They created famous war propaganda initiatives such as Women in War Jobs, Buy War Bonds, and Loose Lips Sink Ships. Perhaps the most famous of these campaigns was Rosie the Riveter, who asserted, "We can do it." One of the earliest radio and television public service announcements in the United States featured Smokey Bear with his famous "Only You" catchphrase, often joined by celebrities like Betty White, Dolly Parton, and Ray Charles. Although the campaign was initially created due to fears of incendiary shells igniting wildfires, Smokey Bear and his PSAs continued on through the decades with slightly modified messaging. Interestingly, Smokey's birthday is celebrated on August 9th, 1944, which is the day the character was authorized for use, though artist Albert Stale wouldn't reveal the final design until October 10th. It then took an additional 3 years to debut Smokey's slogan, "Remember, only you can prevent forest fires," which was so effective that soon, just Smokey's image above the words "remember" or "only you" conveyed the full meaning. By the 1950s, Smokey's popularity skyrocketed after appearing in children's books and coloring books. Even better, in 1952, the Junior Rangers was launched, allowing children to write Smokey Bear and receive a Junior Ranger kit in return, which included a badge with Smokey's face on it. Through the 1950s, Smokey also got his own television special, a Saturday morning cartoon, and even as a costumed character, marking his first ever three-dimensional appearance in the 1952 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. The Smokey Bear balloon appeared from 1966 to 1981, then again in 1993, and as a new balloon from 2019 till present day.
Look who's back and better than ever before. It's everybody's favorite forest ranger, Smokey Bear. Having made his last flight in 1981 in this parade, the U.S. Forest Service has furnished Smokey once again with a big Thanksgiving parade comeback. No doubt in honor of his 50th birthday. He didn't look a day over 25, does he?
Willard, just to give you an idea how big Smokey is, the brim on his hat alone is 8 feet.
Hopefully, a big 5-0, buddy. And another 50 years, you'll be hearing from me on the Today Show.
But until then, remember, only you can prevent forest fires.
Through the decades of popularity, Smokey continued to appear in a plethora of PSAs, some more questionable than others.
A place that's peaceful and quiet. A place where animals play. It's called the forest, but every year we start forest fires. A careless match or cigarette and poof, fire. So the next time you're in the forest, be extra careful, okay?
If you knew it was me, would you have listened?
Yeah. We talk a lot about how in the 70s and 80s, movies that were marketed to kids could be more mature than they should have been. What we sometimes forget is that even the commercials could be, let's face it, creepy as hell. I'm not saying that last Smokey Bear PSA gave me nightmares, but that's only because I didn't sleep for a week after seeing it. I know what you're thinking. It must have been a one-off mistake, right? Right?
The forest is home to many living things. That's why, if you're careless with fire when you go to the forest, you could burn a lot more than trees.
That one has some straight-up horror movie vibes. Smokey's younger cousin, Woodsy Owl, created in time for the first Earth Day in 1970, pulled back on the creepy PSAs in favor of a musical number.
Hi, I'm Woodsy Owl. In order to try and stop pollution, we need more help. So, help Woodsy spread the word. Come on, never be a dirty bird. No matter where you go, you can let some people know to give a hoot, don't pollute. Never be a dirty bird. In the city or in the woods, help keep America looking good.
According to foresthistory.org, because Woodsy was aimed at preschool and grade school children, Harold Bell and his creative team quickly settled on a woodland creature found in the wilderness as well as urban forests, the owl. Their owl would not be a wise old owl who might seem to be lecturing kids about pollution, but rather a young one with a kind face who, when in costume, could look children in the eye, which made it easier for them to relate to Woodsy.
You know, I never really noticed how downright creamy voiceover John sounds. And hey, if you want to continue being serenaded about nostalgia by his dulcet tones, why not give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and click that notification bell. Now, let's get back to that sweet, sweet voiceover.
Another anthropomorphic character created for young viewers by the Ad Council, this time partnering with the Department of Justice, was McGruff, the crime dog.
Yes? Special delivery.
Hold it. I'm McGruff, the crime dog. This was Detroit 2 years ago. John Petros was wounded, the crook got away, and our crime business was booming.
I couldn't afford to leave, and I didn't want to leave.
We might want to patrol up and down the alley.
So John and his neighbors fought back.
So everyone understand your assignment for this evening?
Together with the cops, they formed a neighborhood watch program. That's John and his neighbor Walter today on CB patrol. When they spot a suspect, they call the cops, and the cops are on their way. Hey, that's pretty fast, guys. Since this neighborhood program began, crime in John's neighborhood dropped 50% and property values doubled.
We made a difference.
And you can too.
So find out more. Take a bite out of crime.
Reportedly, McGruff's creator, Jack Keel, got the idea for McGruff after being inspired by Smokey Bear. First came the tagline, "Take a bite out of crime," followed by the obvious choice of a dog mascot, though at first he was thinking of something more akin to Snoopy. After some pushback from his creative team who thought people wouldn't take such a mascot seriously, they settled on a proposal from Sherry Nemmers and Ray Kravasky, who suggested a world-weary dog wearing a trench coat, the kind of detective who had seen it all. When the McGruff campaigns first started, employing television, radio, billboards, and posters, they focused on raising awareness. Many of the specific messages circulated around helping citizens prevent crime, often encouraging the use of personal security and reporting crimes in progress. Before long, campaigns also began to focus on drugs.
Hey, Brian. Listen, you want to get high? I got some great stuff. No thanks, Mike. That junk's bad news.
Smart kid. He doesn't need that stuff. Nobody does. I'm McGruff, the crime dog. Now, watch these kids.
I'm bored. Let me get wasted.
Why don't you get real?
I've got a better idea. Why don't you get lost?
See that? It's happening everywhere. So, if anyone ever wants to turn you on, just turn them off. It's a great way to help take a bite out of crime.
Frankly, this is when PSAs started getting so bad they were good. I can't tell you how many anti-drug PSAs have stuck with me all these years later, bubbling to the surface at the most inappropriate times when I suddenly blurt out a catchphrase like this past Thanksgiving when I pointed at the centerpiece of our holiday meal and exclaimed, "I'm not chicken, you're a turkey." Yeah, the extended family was not impressed.
Hey, Joey, I got some stuff you just gotta try. What is it? Pot. You know, marijuana. Well, I don't know. What are you, chicken? I'm not chicken. You're a turkey.
He's right. Drug dealers are dorks. Don't even talk to him.
So many of these all-time greats fill my head. There's the classic "This is your brain on drugs" PSA, the equally hilarious "I learned it by watching you" ad, and a multitude of equally entertaining public service announcements that probably did more for comedians than they did for ceasing drug use. And if they weren't making us laugh, they would be scaring the crap out of us again.
Hey, little dude, send your mama and daddy out of the room. I gotta get you up on this. You know who I am. Snake, dealing in weed, coke, crack, your choice. Take one hit and you'll do anything to cop more. Steal from your mama, lie, cheat on your homeboys. But hey, that's the price you pay when you deal with dudes like me. Now, some folks will tell you that I'm dealing in poison. But hey, do I look like the kind of guy that would do that to a kid like you? Yes!
Perhaps the most famous and far-reaching of the anti-drug movements was Nancy Reagan's Just Say No campaign, which enlisted the help of such notable figures as Mr. T, Clint Eastwood, LaToya Jackson, and Captain Lou Albano, the last of whom told kids they'd go to hell if they did drugs. No, seriously.
I'm Captain Lou Albano talking to you about drugs. Kids, don't be afraid to say no. Anyone that asks you to use drugs is not your friend. Drugs can and will kill. Remember, don't be afraid to turn to your priest, your rabbi, your minister, your moms, your dads, your teachers, because drugs can kill. And if you do drugs, you go to hell before you die. Please.
The initiative pre-existed as a substance abuse prevention program supported by the National Institutes of Health, pioneered in the 1970s by University of Houston social psychology professor Richard I. Evans, according to Wikipedia. Nancy Reagan assumed the fight after a campaign visit to Daytop Village, New York in 1980, where she witnessed firsthand the devastation of drug abuse on young people. Robert Cox and David Cantor created the Just Say No slogan and campaign in the early 1980s. Though there's also a competing story that when asked by a young schoolgirl what to do if she was offered drugs, the First Lady responded, "Just say no." Whether this was before or after the advertising team began to work on the campaign is unclear. What is clear was the effectiveness of the slogan, which received tons of media attention and took the First Lady across the United States as she appeared on 23 television talk shows, recorded public service announcements, and even co-hosted an episode of Good Morning America. The television shows Different Strokes and Punky Brewster both dedicated episodes to the campaign, and the popularity of Nancy Reagan's crusade led to many other high-profile awareness stops through the 80s and early 90s. Another prominent series of public service announcements through the 1980s was the One to Grow On campaign on NBC. These educational PSAs were aired on Saturday mornings during cartoon lineups and focused on problem-solving skills related to ethical and personal safety. The segments were hosted by a number of different celebrities, including but not limited to Jason Bateman, Justine Bateman, Betty White, Mr. T, and Michael J. Fox.
Hi, I'm Michael J. Fox, and I'll be right back with One to Grow On.
I won! I hate you, Jason. I never want to play with you again.
Those are pretty strong words. You mean just because you didn't win, you hate your friend? You know, we all say things sometimes without thinking, but did you ever stop to think of how you can hurt someone that way? You know, I almost lost a good buddy of mine once because I said something without stopping to think about it first. Lucky for me, he took my apology. So think it over before you say it, because you might not only hurt someone else, you might lose a friend, and then you'll also be hurting yourself.
Howard, that really hurts. You know I don't hate you, Jason. It's just I wanted to win the game. Can we play again? Sure.
And that's One to Grow On.
Into the 90s, a new campaign called The More You Know took the place of One to Grow On segments on NBC. These new educational segments dealing with issues of ethics became so popular that they are still made today. As reported by Gary E. Frank, we attribute the longevity of The More You Know to the recognizable and trusted faces who address timely issues and offer actionable tips people can use to improve their daily lives and the world we all live in together. Marie Delamani, Senior Director of Marketing and Communications for NBC Universal, told Triple Pundit in an email. This ethos is something that transcends eras and fads.
I don't know about you, but I'm staying in school. I mean, yeah, sure, I'm on TV, but I don't know what the future's going to bring. And neither do you. But whatever it is, I'm going to be ready for it. See, the more you know what you can get from an education, you'll see that you can't drop out of school. I mean, yeah, it's tough, but hang in there. And while you're there, you might as well graduate. Hey, I'm not asking you to do anything I'm not doing myself.
Of course, despite its longevity and widely praised messaging, these often heartfelt messages could sometimes err on the side of corny, which led to the inevitable parodies.
You drink on the job. You drink when you're home. You're drunk right now. Let me ask you one question. Can I come over?
Sometimes funny, sometimes scary, but always pervasive, the public service announcements of our youth, whether we like to admit it or not, help shape us. They were often far more effective than we'll ever admit to ourselves, and the mere fact that I still quote some of them today, even in jest, speaks to their lasting appeal and effectiveness. I, for one, am glad these PSA campaigns survive in one form or another, even when they verge on the sappy. The question is, do you feel the same way? If so, what are some of your favorite PSAs of yesteryear? I'd love to hear about it down in the comments. And if you enjoy our content, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and maybe even activating that ubiquitous notification bell, because it really does make a huge difference. Let's meet again next week to celebrate yesteryear, right here on RetroDaze.
Clicky clacky.